right. I think we're going. Hopefully everything's working right. The sound's good, all that good stuff. So let's get into the disclaimers here, get all that out of the way real quick, and then we'll jump into getting some interaction with you guys. So this is a weekly live broadcast. If you've not been here before, I do this pretty much every Thursday evening, 7 o'clock Central. Sometimes things get in the way. I can't make it, but usually I'm here on 7 o'clock Central time, Thursday evenings. It's a live broadcast, so it is. I do my best to respond to all the. I'm pointing at it, you can't see it, but I do my best to respond to all the chat that comes in during the live chat itself. So if you're watching after, or you're responding in a comment on the video or something like that, I may not see it. I may not respond to that. Unfortunately, I'm trying to get better at responding to comments. Haven't been good at that for a while. I've been just kind of out of the routine, I guess. So I'm working on getting back into it. But if you have a question and I haven't answered in the comments and you need some help with something or whatever, this is probably the best place to reach me. I've got a full-time job. I'm pretty busy. I don't have a lot of time all the time, so I don't usually respond to Facebook messages or any of those kinds of things. I just don't have the time to keep up with all of it, unfortunately. But you jump in here. I do my best to respond to all the chat that comes in during the live chat. And I think I already said that, but I've said it again. And what else was I going to say about that? You can ask me anything you want, talk about anything you want. You can converse with each other. You can share YouTube content from other people. I don't care about any of that. The only things I ask is be family friendly, be polite. Don't start calling people names. Don't be rude with anybody, any of those kinds of things. And we'll get along just fine. So let's get into it. Hey, Jasmine's here. Good to see you, Jasmine. Before I get going here, will somebody tell me how are we doing on sound? Is the sound working out? Hopefully. I'm gonna give it a minute. Let somebody respond and let me know you can hear me okay. I had mic problems a while back. I think we got it fixed, but we'll see. Sounds great. Okay, good. We're all good. Thank you, guys. All right, let's jump into it then. Jasmine, good to see you. Jasmine says, hello, Chris. Hello, wonderful community of homesteady people. Hope everyone is well. Tuning in from the Show Me State. Yeah, my state. Ron says, what is that? What state is that? It's Missouri. Yeah, I think that's funny because, that we are called the Show Me State. And I think a lot of people misinterpret that. They think that, that means that we're like, we don't understand things. You have to show me. No, it really, what it's meant to be is we're not gullible people. Now, there's plenty of gullible people in Missouri, but the state motto of being the Show Me State means, you have to show me. I don't necessarily believe everything until you show me. So if you ever hear somebody from Missouri, they say that, I'm from Missouri, you have to show me. That's like, I don't really buy what you're saying. I'm not believing it. That's kind of what it means. Anyway, Steve says, hey, Chris, recently retired near you from Iowa. Very interested in quail. Also have some suggestions on enhancements to your cages. PM me, please. Bringing or binging your vids. I'll try to remember. I don't know if I will or not. Tell you what, if you want to hit me up on email. That's a little bit better. I don't get nearly as much email, so sometimes I can go ahead and respond to an email. But man, I get so many Facebook messages that I tend to ignore them because there's just, that's all I'd be doing is responding to Facebook messages. So no offense. I appreciate it. And it's just, send me an email, chris@slightlyrednecked.com. And then maybe we can meet up that way. I'm always looking for good suggestions, so I'm happy to do that. I don't know what the enhancements mean either, but we'll find out hopefully. Hey, Verna, good to see you. Says, I hope your birthday was blessed. Well, thank you. It was a pretty good day. I don't really do much for my birthday. Don't get too excited about it, but it was a pretty good day. My wife bought me some birthday presents. She bought me this right here. So you guys probably don't know what that is. It's a for color correcting photography, because I am into photography, if you didn't know that. So it's pretty cool. It's basically what it is. You'll have to look it up. Spider Checker 24. You can look it up and see what it is. So I always tell her not to get me birthday presents. I mean it. Don't give me a birthday present. I don't need anything. Don't expect anything. Like I said, I don't make a big deal out of my birthday. I'm not a little kid anymore. But she always gets me a birthday present. She always gets me something nice. So I appreciate the gesture either way. All right. Ron says, I didn't know it was your birthday. Well, today's not. It was the 8th. Tuesday was my birthday, but that's all right. It's kind of funny because I thought I was turning 49 for like a month ahead of time. I'm like, I'm about to be 49. And, I guess I'm one more year, I'll be 50. And then I realized on my birthday, I was born in 1974. That only makes me 48. So I guess that's good. All right. Andrew says, I'm processing my first batch of quail. Can you give me a rundown of what you do before freezer, i.e. letting it rest, etc.? I'm having a hard time understanding what to do between butcher and vacuum sealing. Yeah. I'm sorry, I got distracted by another comment. Yeah, it's really, don't make it more complicated than it needs to be. When you process the quail, a lot of people will, soak them in ice water or something like that. I prefer to dry age mine as opposed to soaking it in water or, putting it in ice water and letting it age that way. But basically, you just want to and this applies to anything, no matter what. You're talking about quail or rabbit or deer or, squirrel or whatever it is. You want to let the meat rest until rigor mortis leaves. So that's usually with a small animal like a quail, that's 24 hours-ish, something like that. You're usually good to go about 24, 36 hours, something like that. You can go a little longer if you need to, but that's plenty of time, for you to let it rest before you vacuum seal it up, put it in the freezer. Now, you could, I guess, vacuum seal it first, put it in your refrigerator and let it rest and before freezing it. But that's your best bet, is to do that, wait until the rigor mortis leaves. Hopefully that answered it for you. Jasmine says, very cool. Y'all braver than me. I don't know what you're talking to somebody else. But Jeff says, hey, from Nebraska. Oh, I see it now. Verna's saying to Jasmine, we set our eggs for the balut challenge tomorrow. Who's doing a balut challenge? That sounds like a terrible idea to me, but oh well. Jeff says, hello from Nebraska. Good to see you, Jeff. Thanks for joining us. Tom, good morning from the Philippines. Wow, it's got to be, like early morning there, doesn't it? Thanks for getting up early and hanging out with us. Jeff says, I'm looking forward to watching Verna and Brooke eat them. Yuck. Ron says, hey, Chris, how are you? I'm doing well. Thanks. Hopefully you are too. We got Tony from Toronto here. Good to see you, Tony. Jesse, good evening, everyone. I scrolled too far. Watching while losing chutes and ladders to my 6-year-old. That's the only way to play, right? Only way to play with a 6-year-old is to lose to a 6-year-old. Yvette says, hello, everyone. Good to see you, Yvette. Hey, Keturnix Corners here. Good to see you, Terry. Thanks for stopping by. Says, hello, Chris. Just stopping by to say, hey, hope all is well. I am doing well. Thank you. Owen, I'm doing well. Hopefully you are too. And Jeff says, good evening all from Central Missouri, another Show Me Stater. And hello from Louisiana. My Meat Rabbit venture is doing great. Good. I'm glad to hear that. Hopefully it continues to do well. All right. Excuse me. I'll grab a drink here. All right. Tiffany from Arizona says, I have 8 Keturnix on the east side of my house. It gets a lot of shade. I'm afraid the birds won't lay, but there's plenty of natural light. Will that affect how they lay? No, the shade won't bother them. Shade's fine, but they are going to need about 14 hours a day of light in order to start laying. So if you don't have an artificial light on the cage that extends the daylight, you're going to have to wait till spring. But it's not going to matter that they're in the shade. They don't have to have direct sunlight. In fact, it's best that they don't have direct sunlight, especially in the summertime when it gets hot. Of course, in Arizona, it's pretty much hot all the time, isn't it? But anyway, you get what I'm saying. Hopefully it's not going to affect them. You're going to be fine with them in the shade. That's the best place to have them. All right. Little Ridge Farm. Hello to you. G. Michael says, question, during winter months, how much of a slowdown with quail? During winter months, how much of a slowdown with quails laying eggs? Well, it depends, honestly. If you've got lighting on them to where you can extend the day to 14 hours a day, they'll keep laying pretty much all year. Now, I do find that mine, even with a light on them, of course, I'm using solar lights, so that may be part of the reason why, but even with a light on them, they do tend to stop laying usually around mid-December, and then they don't pick back up until about mid-January, somewhere right around in there. Those are the shortest days of the year. So I don't know if that's because I've got the solar lights and maybe the solar lights aren't getting charged up and not staying on long enough, or if it's just, can't compete with that anyway, no matter what. But if you keep light on them, they'll lay pretty much all year long, and they're not going to slow down really much of anything at all, except for maybe, like I said, the shortest days of the year during that time frame. But that's it, really. Ian J. Dixon says, oh, wait, I missed one. Cheryl Cheryl, Kentucky girl, says howdy. Howdy to you too. Ian J. Dixon says, I'm a show me gal born in KC. Awesome. There's I don't know if Kansas City really counts as Missouri. It's not really the same. No, I'm kidding. Of course it counts. I always do say Kansas City and St. Louis aren't really Missouri. They're kind of their own thing, but it's still Missouri. It counts for sure. Whiskey Tango Farms is here. Says hello, friends. Hope all is well. Been strangely warm here. Animal water wasn't even frozen yesterday. Now it's dumping snow. Yeah, it was 60 degrees today. It was beautiful outside. I had to take my jacket off and it was nice. Hello to you, Freedom Quail Farm. Yvette says, hey, Chris, my quail are 7 weeks old, not laying yet, but started at 6 weeks, right? Wait. Hello, Chris, my quail are 7 weeks old, but not laying yet. They start at 6 weeks, right? Well, not necessarily. Actually, 8 weeks is a little bit more average, and sometimes it takes them up to 12 weeks to get laying. A lot of that may have to do with the amount of light. Again, if you've got them outside and you're not providing artificial light to them, if you live in North America anyway, the days are awful short right now. They're not going to lay until springtime when the days start getting a little bit longer. They need 14 hours a day of light to start laying. But at 6 weeks old, that's not a concern at all. Usually it's closer to 8 weeks. Sometimes you will get those overachievers. They'll start laying at 6 weeks, but usually 8 weeks is about the expectation. Gary says, good evening, Chris and gang. Good evening to you. All right. Glenn says, hey, Chris, neighbor Glenn here. Got our first egg laid this morning. Thanks for your help. Well, you are very welcome. Glad to hear it. And congratulations. Ian J. Dixon says, hey, Chris, any news on the lights? I need to follow up on that again. I'm afraid it's going to have to come to a point where I have to do a refund and then just refund everybody because, man, it is taking forever. They're quoting some kind of issue with supply chains and all that kind of stuff, but it's been plenty long enough. They should have been able to get to it by now. So I've been as patient as I can. I'm going to follow up again. Hopefully we'll find out something real soon. If not, then if they can't provide them soon, I'm just going to get a refund, and then I'm going to refund everybody that prepaid for them. That's about the only thing I can do, I think, at this point. All right. Uncle Vern's. Hang on just 1 second. We got it. Oh, okay. No problem. Not urgent. Can wait. All right. Good evening to you, Uncle Vern's Homestead. Blessed with Pets says, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I'm here. My first 2 mini Rex litters are going to be February 19th and February 25th. And my 14th birthday is the 21st. Going to be a great 2 weeks. Well, awesome. Happy birthday to you in advance because I'll probably forget by then. And good luck with those litters. I hope they do well. Jesse says, happy birthday, Chris. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Verna says, I'm a youngster. Yeah, sometimes I don't feel like one, but maybe I am. Blessed with Pets is currently cleaning my room. This will help me get through it. Yeah. Keep your mind busy. Make the time go by a little faster. James from Mountain View, Missouri is here. Good evening to you. Good to see you. Tom says it's 9 a.m. in the Philippines. Okay, not as early as I thought, but still, thanks for taking the time to join in with us. Jasmine, talking to somebody else. Yvette from Louisiana, good to see you. Berto says, Chris, you can't say yuck unless you try. I'm talking about the balut eggs. Yeah, I don't know about that one. I don't know that I'm not too queasy about food. I'll try just about anything. None of that stuff bothers. That may be where I draw the line. I'm not sure about that. Tara says, God bless from London, UK. Thank you for joining us all the way from over there. Jack says, Chris, hello from Los Angeles. Good to see you, Jack. Thanks for joining. Donna from, let's see, hello, Chris and everyone, to include Terry. Hello to you too. Live off the grid from Florida is here. Good to see you. Holly from Texas. James says, how does your quail do in the temperature flex like last week? Single digits in the 60s like today. Any problems with them? Thanks, Jim. Nope, no problems at all. They do fine. They actually seem to adjust to that stuff. No problem at all. It doesn't seem to bother them one way or the other. But yeah, they're fine. Hey, Yusef, good to see you. Says, hello from me and my mom from very cold Massachusetts. Hello to you as well. It hasn't been too cold here. Well, it was last week, but it's warmed up this week. Spring's coming, though. Hang in there. See, Live Off Grease says, last weekend we dispatched our first 3 rabbits. It was very hard for me, an emotional thing. Yeah, dispatching's never easy to do. It's always one of those things that is just a little bit difficult to do. But I think it should be that way. It should be difficult. Be concerned if it's not difficult to do. But you got it done, so good job on that. And hang in there. It will get a little bit easier, but yeah, always a difficult thing. Jasmine says, I got my onion seeds planted as well as celery, some cold hardy flowers I want to use for companion planting. Tomorrow I'll start cabbage and other brassicas. Starting anything yet, Chris? Not yet, but getting real close. Real close. I got all my seeds from Baker Creek in today, the ones I ordered. Onions were one of those, so I'll probably get those started in the next couple of days. I'm not doing any brassicas this year, I don't think. I never have good luck with them. They never do well for me, so I just kind of skip over them. It's not that big a deal for me to just buy cauliflower and broccoli from the store when I want it. But anyway, doing, let's see, green beans and some squash and tomatoes, a couple new varieties of tomatoes I haven't grown before. We'll try them out and see how they do. What else am I going to be growing? I can't remember what else I got. I don't remember now, but there's other stuff in there. Okra, of course, cucumbers. Those are all standards. Peas. I'll grow some peas, and those I need to get those in before too long. It'll be it's about a month out from putting those in. But anyway. All right, Del Choo Choo says, hey, Chris, greetings from Cuba. Evening, everyone. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Chippy, hello, good morning or good evening, everyone. Good evening to you, too. Let's see. Verna says, Chris, I've started sweet potato slips. Got more growing on the patio, too. Awesome. Jill says, I used to retouch negatives. Interesting work. My mother was a professional photographer. Yeah, when you say retouch negatives and a professional photographer, that's been a while, right? Film cameras, not digital for sure. So I do, kind of the same things, except for it's all a digital Lightroom now. I did actually develop negatives one time back in high school. Can't remember how it came about, but it was some kind of school project, and I had to go interview some photographer, and we took pictures and developed the prints. It was kind of cool. Blessed with Pets says, if anyone knows anything about birds, I'm just thinking about connecting my bird cages to make one big cage for my male cockatiel and male budgie. They get along outside their cage. Is it safe to do so? I really don't know much about them, so I can't answer that one. Maybe somebody else in here does, and they'll be able to answer for you. Ian J says, thumbs up, kids. Thank you, Ian J. Appreciate that. Darab says hello from David in Danville, Virginia. Good to see you. Thanks for joining. Tom, let's see. I have a doe that should give birth soon. Do you clean the nest box after the kits are born? I mean, after initial cleaning of birthing material? No, I don't clean it at all. I just let her deal with it. She usually does a pretty good job of cleaning it up. Unless there's like a kit that's passed away or something like that, and I need to clean out of it, I don't bother cleaning it at all until they're done with it. When they're done with it, that's when I clean it out. Dolchuchu says, Chris, do you think Flemish Giants are worth it? No, I don't. Flemish Giant, in my experience, is not a good meat rabbit. Anything with Flemish Giant in it is not a good meat rabbit. This has been my experience with it. What I found with Flemish Giants is that they have a really bad bone to meat ratio. So they may get really big, but they have big bones as well. So you don't get nearly as much meat off of them. They grow out incredibly slow. And that's the biggest problem I have with them is that, with my New Zealand's, California's, you can get them to 5 pounds by 8 weeks. And with the anything that has Flemish Giant mixed in with it, it's like 12 weeks before they get to that size. And that's an extra month of feeding those rabbits out. So I stay away from Flemish Giant. I don't think they're a good meat rabbit at all. All right. Cali Quail Keepers says, hey, Chris, it's my 1-year anniversary next week. I've been listening to you and your videos, which led to raising quail and rabbits. Thanks. Well, awesome. Thank you very much for listening. I don't know what you mean by your 1-year anniversary next week. Is it like your 1-year wedding anniversary, or is it some other kind of anniversary you're talking about? But either way, congratulations on it. Verna's going to get coffee. I don't drink coffee, actually, but I drink plenty of soda, so I make up for it. Vet says, have a light on them all the time. Okay, well, make sure you give them a break at night. They do need a period of darkness. I think you're talking about the birds that were 6 weeks and haven't started laying eggs yet. Don't stress about that. Give them another week or two. They'll start laying eggs more than likely. All right. Brandon from Whiskey Tango Farms says, good evening, Chris and everyone else who's ready for spring and planting season. Can't wait for some fresh corn again this year. That's the other thing I'm growing. I'm growing some corn. Nothing better than picking it than grilling in a matter of minutes. Absolutely. I am ready for it for sure. Saw a meme the other day that was, what's his name from the Lord of the Rings, the little guy. I can't remember his name all of a sudden. The little guy with that chases the ring the whole time is Precious. That guy. Anyway, you know who I'm talking about. And it had the picture of him like he's kind of smiling. He says, mustn't plant the seeds yet. And then the next one's where he's all hateful and like, and he's like, but we wants to. And I thought that was pretty funny. Tiffany says, thank you for the confirmation. I have some Christmas lights in the Quail. And yes, always warm here. Today was 80, but I have a solar battery powering a fan for them for when the temp gets higher. Nice. Sounds like a pretty nice setup. They should do well. All right. VIP Funny Farm says, hey, Chris, just dispatched our first batch of rabbits. You make it so simple and seamless. We had problems with tearing the hide off. Is there I think there's probably more to that. Is there something we were missing? Well, it's hard to say. If there were an older rabbit, that can be tough. Older rabbits are definitely way harder to skin than younger rabbits. But other than that, I don't know of a trick. It's not really like, especially with younger rabbits, I'd say below 6 months of age, it should come off fairly easily. But yeah, older rabbits are definitely way tougher to skin. Tiffany says, happy belated. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Let's see. Got a couple people talking to each other. There we go. Blessed with Pets says, whoa, I scrolled too far. Man, I got a lot of comments to get through. Says, I'm on my 5th cup of coffee right now. LOL. I'm a 14-year-old girl, but I love coffee. My wife likes coffee. I just never developed the habit. Ian J says, we'll wait longer. Would really love those lights. Yeah. I'm really sorry they haven't been out yet. It's kind of disappointing. I don't know if I'll do that again. It just takes forever. They were happy to send me, when I was sending them money and they were sending me samples and we're working on that, they're happy to send all that to me. And then, send them a big payment for a batch of lights. And what are we going on almost 2 years now? They haven't got them to us yet. Crazy. But anyway, Jasmine says, have you experienced red-tailed hawks attacking your quail? I had an incident with a loose latch and a determined hawk that got into the hutches and killed 2 quail, replaced all the latches. No, I have not had problems with that. First of all, are you sure it was a red-tailed hawk? It sounds more like a Cooper's or maybe a sharp-shinned or something like that. They have a tendency to feed on game birds and things like that. But either way, it doesn't matter what kind of hawk it was. I have had a hawk. We have a pair of hawks that nest in my backyard in a tree back there. So every spring they have eggs, they nest back there, and then the babies start moving around. And when the babies get out, they look like full-grown hawks by this time, but sometimes they kind of hang around. They're staying right around the yard, and they have gone. I've had 1 or 2 of them that went after my quail, where they would get on top of the quail hutch, hang from underneath, try to grab the quail up through the bottom of it. But they usually give up in a day or 2 and just move on, and I don't have any continuing problems with it. Jasmine says, it came back 3 days in a row, and the quail are absolutely terrified. Talked to MDC friend of mine, and he used some of his tips to deter the hawk. Oh, interesting. What tips were those? You should share with the rest of us. By the way, MDC, we have the best conservation department in the country, I think. MDC is such a great conservation department. They're so helpful. Anytime you want to know something, call them up and ask them, where's a good place to go hunting for this? They'll tell you. They're just incredibly helpful people. I love our conservation department. All right, Cali Quail Keepers. I read that completely wrong. Says, Chris, Verna and I are selling balut. Join the challenge. Watch the video soon. I may have to check it out, but yeah, as far as eating them, I don't know. I need to look into that because we do have a fairly large Asian population around here that I'm sure would probably enjoy that and need somebody to fill that gap for them, I'm guessing. All right. Gregory says, I'm having the opposite problem. I'm trying to have my quail stop laying eggs so I can combine two flocks and minimize fighting. Yeah, put them in the dark. Says I have my quail completely covered with a tarp and only exposed to artificial light for about 8 hours a day. It's been 4 weeks now, and they're still laying, and roosters still crowing. Yeah, those are probably some young birds that, yeah, they tend to be a little bit more sensitive to laying and stuff whenever they're younger birds. Sounds like you're doing what you should be doing. I don't know if I have any better tips for you, but good luck. Hope it works out. Jeff says, went out and put 2 inches of compost on a 4x30 spare grass bed. Spring's coming sometime. Yep, it is for sure. Sage Wolf from Northeast Ohio. Oh, and by the way, that's a great way to do it. Compost, 2 inches of compost on their beds. That's perfect fertilizer. Good to see you, Sage Wolf. Thanks for joining us. 12 Gauge says, hey, Chris and all from Mountain View, Arkansas. Good to see you too. Let's see, Brandon. Brandon wants to know if Jasmine got an owl. I scrolled too far. Where did it go? I can't find where I left off. Hang on just a second. There we go. I think I found it. Wants to know, yeah, Brandon from Whiskey Tango Farms wants to know, Jasmine, did you get yourself an owl? Says I need to be banned from Baker Creek, or maybe just my direct deposit go right to them. Yeah, Baker Creek's pretty awesome, and they're not too far from me. They're just down the road. I don't actually ever go to them. I've driven by a few times, but never actually stopped by. I'm afraid I'd spend too much money. Tom says I usually watch your videos while sitting with my rabbits. I don't eat duck eggs too. I don't eat duck eggs. I like duck eggs. Duck eggs are fantastic. Blessed with Pets wants to know if anybody else is drinking black coffee. So I don't put anything in mine. I don't even drink coffee. So Jeff says to Verna, I love the stuff for about 3 weeks, then get wore out on it. Are you talking about balut eggs? I don't know. Anyway, let's see. Is that Holly Clan says, I'm looking for hatching eggs in Texas. Well, you can have eggs shipped to you. I don't know of any suppliers in Texas right offhand, but I do know you can have eggs shipped to you. I mean, any of the big suppliers. Whiskey Tango Farms ships eggs all over the country. My Shire Farm. Who else? Kansas City Quail Farm. There's a lot of different suppliers out there. Those are some of the bigger ones that are probably going to do a good job for you. So hit up any of them. They'll send eggs to you. Whiskey Tango Farm says, can't wait to see you again at QuailCon, Chris. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too. It's going to be a good time. Yeah, Baker Creek gets you in trouble every time, Ian J. Donna says, does anyone feed the quails fodder? I don't, but I'm sure somebody does. Katrina from Gilroy, California. How are you? Good to see you. Let's see. I'm skipping a few. Del Chuchu says, happy birthday, Chris. May your wishes come true. Well, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's see. Jasmine says, didn't get an owl, but it was on the list. I moved some things to obscure the views and throw out some feed to attract crows and blackbirds, which hate and attack the hawks. Oh, there you go. That makes sense. We have crows around here. Maybe that would do it. Cali Quail Keeper says, you can see my pics of cold season veggie garden in the beginning of my quail manure compost video on my YouTube channel, uploading now. Love my permaculture garden. Awesome. I thought about doing a kind of a food forest type permaculture garden at one time, but just never did it actually. So who knows? Maybe I will someday. Let's see. Glenn says, howdy from Southeast Missouri. I like my balut incubated full term, then aged for 12 weeks. Yeah, that's the way I do it too. Paleo Greenbird says, greetings from Maine. I got my first chicken egg of the year. I'm hoping for quail eggs soon. Hopefully, if you have light on them, you should get them pretty soon. All right, Ronnie. Let's see. Hey, Chris, my New Zealand's are hitting around 4.5 to 8 weeks. 4.5 pounds by 8 weeks. Is it acceptable, or should I try mixing in Californias? That doesn't sound bad. That sounds pretty good. 4.5 pounds by 8 weeks. That's not bad at all. I think I would be happy with that. I tried to get them to roughly 5 pounds by 5 weeks or by 8 weeks. That sounds pretty good. You can try mixing in California. I doubt you'll get much better results from it, but you could try it. I mean, what's the worst that's going to happen? You have a litter that doesn't grow out quite as fast or grows out at the same rate. Now you know. Maybe it'll grow a little faster. Maybe you'll get a little bit more weight gain out of them. But honestly, it seems like you're doing pretty good. Blessed with Pets says, I want to do lives on YouTube, but I'm kind of nervous. My channel is eligible to go live, but I don't know who would get on. I need to post more on my channel. Yeah, that is important. You got to have consistency in your YouTube videos in order to kind of grow your channel. Once you have a little bit of followers and things like that, I'm sure that somebody would join in live and watch. You just got to try it. And if nobody joins in, have a plan for like what you're going to talk about during your live video, and just do that. Just do a live video, but do it like you were going to do like one of your regular video posts. Don't plan on interacting with anybody during it. Just, this is my regular video post, but I'm shooting it live, and you'd be surprised. People will jump on. Tom says, my doe started pulling fur. I'm excited. Awesome. Good luck. Hope it works well. Cali Quail Keeper is saying it's 1 year raising quail. That's your anniversary for raising quail. Okay. That makes sense. All right. Gollum, that was who I was trying to think of. Thank you, Jasmine. It's one of those things. It must be, yeah, you must have seen it. You're saying that meme cracks me up. I thought it was hilarious. It was funny. It must be my age because I just turned a year older. I'm just having a hard time all of a sudden trying to think of things that like common words. I'm like, I can't think of the word. Of course, that's happened to me forever. I guess I probably just notice it more now. They do say that the memory is the second thing to go, and I can't remember what the first is. So, Michael says, testing an incubator, is humidity the same with a given water reservoir as with eggs? What? I don't know what you're asking me exactly. I'm sorry. Testing an incubator, is humidity the same with a given water reservoir as with eggs? I'm sorry, Michael. I don't know what you mean by that one. It got me lost. I don't know how to answer that. Cali Quail Keeper says, have you ever had or considered a colony setup? What are your thoughts about deep litter systems? A colony set up with rabbits or with quail? As far as a colony set up with quail, I mean, that's basically what I do. But with rabbits, I've thought about it, but I really changed my mind on that. I don't think that a quail, and I did a video on this at one time, my thoughts on a colony setup. And I'm not saying it's, it doesn't work for some people. But what I don't like about the idea of a colony setup, there's a couple of things. One is, first of all, it's really hard to build a pen secure enough to keep rabbits in if you keep them on the ground. And they dig very, very well. So that makes it a little bit difficult. The other thing is they're way more susceptible to parasites if they're living in contact with the ground. Now, that may not be a huge concern. It may not be a big deal. But around here anyway, roundworms and tapeworms would be the things you would worry about probably. Pinworms maybe, I don't know. But getting worms and parasites is a real concern, I guess, if they're in contact with the ground. The other thing that I don't like about an idea of a colony setup is not being able to control the breeding and know when I'm having babies, because they'll dig burrows. You won't even know most of the time. So there's a lot of things I don't necessarily like about a colony setup. I've kind of reviewed it, and I know there are some people that love it. It's worked out really well for them. But I've also seen lots of people that tried setting up a colony setting and ended up going to cages and scrapping that idea for a lot of the reasons I just talked about. Blessed with Pets says, I'm probably the only 13, almost 14-year-old girl who got a drill for Christmas and actually asked for it. I doubt you're the only one, but you're rare for sure. Congratulations, though. A drill is a great tool to have. Del Chuchu says, people over here are having tremendous success with Pardos cubanos, which translated into brown Cuban rabbits. Really? Brown Cuban rabbits? That's what it translates to? Cubanos would be Cuban, right? Pardos is brown rabbit? Okay. Interesting. I bet there's no way to get those out of Cuba over here, but I'd like to see them and see what they are. Sam says, hey, it's me again, the one with 6 females and 6 males in separate cages. So I discovered this afternoon that one is bad badly injured, like big patch on his neck and bloody. I don't know who. Don't know who the culprit was. So a few hours later, I saw one bothering him. Is it safe to assume that that one's the culprit? They will be 7 weeks old on Monday. Is this a result of overly aggressive root? Probably. Turning 7 weeks old means they're hitting sexual maturity. That's definitely going to bring out some aggression in them, especially if they're a little bit overcrowded. And when you've got 6 roosters together by themselves, that's probably what's happening right there. Now, I wouldn't say that the one that you saw picking on him or whatever bothering him, I wouldn't say that's the one that's the culprit necessarily. It's probably a combination. But what happens typically is if they do see a wounded bird, the other birds kind of pin in on that and they focus on that bird. So a lot of the time they'll get over it. They'll just heal up just fine and it'll all work out. No problems whatsoever. But at the same time, you got 6 roosters all by themselves in a hutch together. It may not get over it. So you can try to remove the injured bird, let him heal up, or, give him a week, see how he does, and then process him because it's about that time. If that's what you plan on doing with them, it's about the time to go ahead and process. Tom says, I watched the video. We're here. They removed the fur of the rabbit using boiling water like chickens. Watched video. Yeah, I've seen some people do that. I don't know. That just seems odd to me. But anyway, let's see. Jeff says, Jasmine, that was very creative ideas and to draw the crows and blackbirds. Sam says, okay, no, I already read that one. Verna says, we will eat them. Ballots on the 23rd. All right. Good luck. Have fun. Jasmine says, yes, we do love our Department of Conservation. They're incredibly helpful and reply promptly to my texts all the time. Yeah, me too. Anytime I've had a question about something, I found a certain mushroom and I want to know if my identification's right. I want to know, I picked up turkey hunting a couple of years ago. So I called them up and wanted to know where a good place to turkey hunt was. And man, you get a personal call back from somebody. I went out fishing with a couple of guys. It's been several years ago, but I had a buddy that wanted to go out catfishing. So we went out catfishing. You do that at night. And, we were at a public access and we're fishing and the police showed up because somebody else was down there. And that public access is open until like 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock at night, unless you're fishing. And then you have access to it all night long. There is no time limit on that. So the police came and because somebody was down there, like a couple of teenagers drinking or something like that in the parking lot. And they ran them off. And then they came down to us and said the area is closed and made us leave. So I called the conservation department the next day and explained it to them. They're like, no, you had every right to be there. I'm going to call them up and I'll get it straightened out for you. They're just really good conservation department around here. And they do good work. Keep poachers at bay and all that. Callie Quail Keeper says, are you familiar with the standard of perfection for rabbits? And do you even care? I don't really care that much as far as a standard of perfection. I'm kind of familiar with it, but it's not something I really focus on. So I don't know that I'd be a good person to ask about if you have questions about it. Let's see. Yeah, Verna's saying the same thing to Sam. If they are Keturnix, they will fight when you have too many roosters and not enough hens. Let's see. Sam says, I don't have hens in the cage with them, though. Yeah, it doesn't matter if there's hens in there or not. What they're doing is they're fighting that because there's no hens, in their minds that they're calling to try to attract a hen. And because there's no hens, the population must be very low. So therefore they're going to fight with each other to try to be the dominant male that gets the hen when the hen does come around. That's probably not like what they're actually thinking, but that's how nature works. So that's probably the issue is that you have too many roosters all together. No hens. Now you don't. Now with that being said, you don't want to throw all 6 roosters in with with those 6 hens. Pick one to be your breeder. Put them in. It may be a little late to put him in right now because he's probably going to get beat up a little bit when you first put him in there. But he should be okay. Or maybe 2 in there would be fine too. But they should get over that and work that out pretty quick. Ian J says spring will be here in White Cloud Mountains of Idaho around the 1st of June. 1st of June. That's a long way away, and you need to move south. But anyway, Katrina says Baker Creek is awesome. Yes, they are. Verna says, Sam, then it's time to process the extra males. starting out with the aggressive one. Yep, I agree. Blessed with Pets says, what do you put in your nest boxes? I plan on using Carefresh paper bedding. I usually use hay, stuff it with hay. But I don't know about, I guess paper bedding would work. I don't know. Let's see. Sam wants to know, how do I assume which is the overly aggressive or just being a normal rooster? And they won't be 7 weeks until Monday. Isn't it early to call them? It's a little early, but if they're starting to crow and stuff like that, it's probably getting pretty close. You can wait another week. It's okay. It's not going to be the end of the world. What I think what you're doing is probably the right thing. It sounds like what you're doing is watching them pretty closely, seeing which ones pick on the other bird. That's a good sign that those would be the aggressive ones, but you'll probably see the aggressive one picking on not just the one bird that's already injured, but all the other birds too. You'll see that probably pretty quick, especially when it comes to like eating or any of those kinds of things. They're going to want to fight the other birds off. You should be able to pick them out pretty quick. Whiskey Tango Farm says, Brandon got me some awesome alpaca socks for my birthday, and they're so soft. So now I want an alpaca too. LOL. Well, did I miss your birthday? I must have missed it. Happy birthday to you. I don't know when that was. Blessed with Pets says, how often do you clean the nest boxes, and when do you clean it if for the first time? Also, can I use Timothy hay in nest boxes along with Carefresh paper bedding, or do I need a different hay? I always feed Timothy. I'm sorry, when I said hay, I meant straw. I stuff my nest boxes with straw, but yeah, you should be able to use Timothy hay. It should work just fine. I wouldn't worry about it. As far as cleaning them out, I don't clean them out until the babies are done using it. When I go to remove the nest box, that's when I clean it. Other than that, I mean, you do want to check on them as soon as you can after they're born. Make sure that none of them have died in there, because if that happens, you do want to clean that out. But I don't actually clean it out, take all the bedding out and replace it. I don't do any of that. They're fine with it until they're ready to leave. Sam says, I was kind of traumatized seeing the injured roo trying to escape the cage. It was so sad to see. One of the roos had a bloody beak from pecking the injury too. So sad. Yeah, it's never fun to see. If you have the ability, you might take that injured one out and put him in his own cage, just to give him the ability to heal up a little bit, or at least quit getting, picked on quite as much. Katrina says Tortellini had 4 kits on Saturday. Meatball had 10 kits on Tuesday. And ZD got her nest box today. Older babies are growing out nicely. 5 pounds is harvest weight for California and Black New Zealand rye. That's kind of my go-to harvest weight, but I don't actually weigh them. I just look at them and go, yeah, they look about 5 pounds, and then I process them. But yeah, 5 pounds-ish is kind of the weight that I shoot for. Verna says, bloody beak birds need cold. Yeah, it's probably best not to use that one as your breeder for sure. Yeah, Sam says, I put the injured roo in a little cage inside the pen away from the other roos. That's probably a good idea. Blessed with Pets says, I don't want to pay $45 for a 12-inch hamster wheel, so I used $3 worth of supplies to make one. Okay, good. Ingenuity is a good thing. Hey, that's a good idea. To Whiskey Tango Farm saying, blessed with Pets, have you entered the 18 and under contest that My Shire Farm hosts? Lots of sponsors and donations for quail raising. You should check it out. You should. Oh, let's see. Callie Quail Keeper says, my boyfriend has nothing to do with the quail, but loves the rabbits and kits. I have 3-week-olds, my first successful litter. Nothing to do with the quail, though, huh? My wife will get involved with all of it, so I'm lucky, I guess. Sam says, without molting, the roo was like getting on top of the injured and pecked him. Is that what you mean? Without molt? Oh, mounting, without mounting. Yeah, so without mounting them like they would a hen when they're breeding is what she's talking about. Sometimes they will get overly anxious and try to mount whatever bird's in the cage with them, whether it's a rooster or a hen. But anyway, Blessed with Pets says, I have 1.6 thousand subscribers, but not all of them actually watching my videos. Hey, that's okay. I have like 78,000 subscribers and don't get anywhere near that many watching my videos. So it's okay. Katrina says, congrats on 1 year quail. I think I started a year ago, December. Would have to look. Nice. Katrina says, I'm watching on my phone with the bunnies and the quail in case I miss anything in the chat. A couple of you guys talking to other people. I'll let that slide by. Okay, Ronnie says, did you hear Kansas City Quail Farm is downsizing? I'm local to Naomi, and she is only keeping her jumbos, whites, and celadons. I didn't hear that. I need to look into that more. I haven't talked to them in a long time, but need to look back into that and see how they're doing. They're good people. Jeff says, Cali Quail Keepers, I should have my first hatch ever on your 1 year. There you go. First hatch. Good luck with that, Jeff. Hope it goes well. How are we doing on time? We've got about 15 minutes left. Boy, it sure flies, doesn't it? Blessed with Pets says, I've had 18 quail before, but something got to all of them. So sad. That is sad. I'm sorry to hear that. Little Ridge Farm says, does anyone raise quail in all metal buildings? If so, when you get a massive rainstorm, does it affect the quail from being so loud, jumpy, nervous, egg laying, etc.? Good question. I don't know. I mean, I have, sheet metal, not sheet metal. Yeah, basically corrugated metal roofing on my hutches. I've never noticed any of it bothering them, but it's not an all metal building either. So I don't know. Tiffany says, yikes, parasites on the ground for rabbits. Should I worry about the same for my Keturnix? Probably, but it's not as big of a concern as you're making it out to be. If you've ever hunted animals before, wild animals, deer, rabbit, any of that kind of stuff, they probably got parasites. It's not that big of a deal. It's just part of what happens. But unless they get overrun with them, then it's not a big issue. Michael says, doing a test run for my incubator without eggs, and the humidity is higher than that with the same water pan and eggs last year. Okay, let me read this again. Doing a test run of my incubator without eggs, and the humidity is higher than with the same water pan and eggs last year. 3 different meters, all reading close to the same. Well, it could be the time of year. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into humidity. How your humidity reads on there anyway, other than just having eggs in there or not eggs in there. It shouldn't make a difference whether your eggs in there or not. But it probably has more to do with the ambient, climate. There we go. Around you. In the wintertime, for example, it's pretty dry here, but in the summertime, it's incredibly humid here. So in the summertime, I can almost do a dry hatch. I don't really need to add much water at all to the incubator. But in the wintertime, I got to add a lot of water to the time. So, I mean, there is a difference. And, if you've got rainstorms coming through, if you're humidity outside, that's going to affect the humidity in the incubator as well. Yvette says, what age do you harvest quail? I don't necessarily have an age that I harvest them necessarily. But I do harvest them usually. Usually I'll wait at least 8 weeks, sometimes 12. More than likely 12 is better for me most times, as long as I'm not having a bunch of problems with like aggression or any of those kinds of things. I'll wait till 12 weeks, give them a little bit of time to grow out. But I don't necessarily follow that real strictly. I just harvest them whenever. Quail aren't like other animals where they get tougher as they get older. Like an older rabbit is going to be tougher than an 8-week-old rabbit. Quail don't necessarily get that way. So you can wait pretty much as long as you want. Tiffany says, thanks, Chris, for this podcast. Great to listen to on a Thursday evening. I'm cleaning the house before the weekend. Love the interaction. Long-time listener, first-time caller. Well, thanks for calling in. We appreciate that. And definitely thank you for watching and listening in. Hopefully things are going well for you. Got a lot of people carrying on conversations with each other. I'll skip over those. Jennifer says, electric wire setup for rats. Anyone have a good solar setup for outside wooden quail hutches? At least I think it's rats. Interesting. I don't know. Verna wants to know what kind of rabbits I'm looking for. Looking for Tamuk rabbits, but I haven't been able to find any real good ones. Had a lead on some, but I can't get the person to respond to me, so I don't know if they're going to be available or not. Anyway, okay, so a good deterrent for rats in an outside quail hutch. You could put up a solar fence charger and run electric wire around it. I'm not sure if that'd keep rats off of it or not, but it's worth a try, I suppose. I think what I would do is probably set some rat traps and, catch them. But, that's my only thought. Jupiter's here, says, I'm making country fried venison backstrap for dinner during this broadcast. That sounds pretty good. Says we eat late. Yeah, I haven't eaten dinner yet either. I'm gonna eat after I get done here in about 10 minutes or so. Gary says, Chris had a 9-week-old jumbo whitetail or white wing hen die yesterday. Found she had snapped her right wing. Not sure. Been no predators. Beautiful bird and good white wing markings. Oh, that's unfortunate. I hate to hear that. Yeah. I mean, who knows? She may have got spooked or for whatever reason. Sometimes they'll just freak out and fly around for whatever, and they can injure themselves doing that. It's not necessarily a common thing. But it can happen. So I don't know if I can shed any light on it or not. That would be my best guess. Let's see. Whiskey Tango Farm says, not my birthday yet. He just can't wait. As soon as stuff comes in the mail, he gives it to me. That's funny. Well, congratulations on that. Let's see. S.O. Swanson says, fretting from Memphis. I don't know what you mean by that exactly, but let's see. Skip a few of those where you guys are talking to each other. VIP Funny Farm says, rabbits, when do you rebreathe the does after kindling? You can do it a couple of different ways. I typically wait until the does pretty much weaned her babies, like around 6 weeks old, somewhere right around in there. Because my thought is, yeah, usually, well, you could do it at 4 weeks as well if you want to. If you wean the babies at 6 weeks, I typically leave the babies in with the mother until about 8 weeks old, and then I process them. Sometimes I'll move them to a grow out pen if they need to grow out longer. But usually around 8 weeks is when I move them off the mom. So I try to rebreed around 6 weeks old because that gives the mom 2 weeks without babies. She'll have the babies for another 2 weeks, and then she'll have 2 weeks without them before she has another litter and has to go through it all over again. But you could do it at 4 weeks if you plan on moving them off at 4. Yeah, I mean, you could do it, a lot sooner than that. A lot of people will rebreed when the babies are 2 weeks old, but that's cutting it off close to me. That seems a little bit intense to me. So hopefully that answers the question. Let's see. VIP Funny Farm says, Rab. Oh, I already read that one, didn't I? Jesse Mills says, lost 3 straight games to the child. Oh, Shoots and Ladders. Well, tell him, her, I don't know. I think it was your granddaughter, her or him, whoever it was. Tell him good job. Congratulations on winning. Blessed with Pets says, can you have quail in rabbit cages? Not really a good idea. You could do it, but you're going to want to replace the flooring because the flooring in rabbit cages is typically like 1 inch by ½ inch wire or 1 inch by 2 inch. Is it? Either way, it's too big for the quail feet. They really need like 1/4 inch hardware cloth or ½ inch hardware cloth. I always get my measurements mixed up on that and forget, but you get what I'm saying. Blessed with Pets says, what's the cheapest way to buy rabbit cage wire at your local hardware store? For sure. You can buy it online, but the shipping prices are going to kill you on that. So it's almost always best to go to your local Lowe's, Home Depot, Tractor Supply, whatever you got, and check the prices there. Tiffany, let's see. Something with parasites going on up here. Oh, I forgot to answer a question about deep bedding. Katrina said that she has her birds on deep bedding. So far, I haven't had any issues with parasites. Yeah, it's not. It may or may not be a big deal, or may not be a risk that you're going to face, depending on your area and how prevalent parasites are. Now, I do know here, if I don't have my dog on a medication, he gets worms. I mean, that's it. I got to give him a pill every single month to keep him from getting worms because he will get them if I don't have him on that. But it's not a huge issue. It's not a big deal for your animals to have parasites as long as they're not overly infested with parasites. And they may have them and you may not even know it. It's not uncommon at all. Most animals, most fish I catch, have fluke worms. Most deer I shoot probably have worms as well. It's just part of nature. It's not really that big of a concern. But it is a slightly higher concern if they're on in contact with the ground as opposed to in raised cages. It's just, if that was the only issue with colony settings, then it wouldn't be a big deal. But I have other reasons too why I don't want to do a colony setting. As far as the deep litter method, I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. I think it probably works pretty well. I just I haven't done it myself, but Tiffany says, Chris, tell us about your first hatch of Keturnix. Oh boy, I don't know where to start with that one. Let's see, my first hatch. Let's see, I had a bunch of eggs. I put them in the incubator. They actually hatched. I was pretty surprised. I think my first hatch, I probably got a, 40%, 50% hatch rate, maybe something like that. But I was just surprised it actually worked. I think was probably my first hatch. But I've hatched things out before. So, I've hatched chicken eggs when I was a kid. My grandpa built an incubator out of a wooden box with some lights on a little dimmer switch so you control the heat. We actually hatched out the chicken eggs. They actually hatched. I've hatched out snake eggs, king snakes, and corn snakes. I used to raise king snakes and corn snakes. I found a skink one time, a 5-line skink that had laid a bunch of eggs, and I took all the eggs, took them home, hatched them all out, and let the babies go. So it's not. I don't know if I can remember specifically. I do remember being a little surprised that they actually hatched, because it sure didn't look like anything was going to happen, but it worked. Let's see. I saw that. Gary B, I saw that. Oh, about living traditions, that they built a metal barn and has this quail inside in coops. Yep, that's true. I have seen that. You're right. And Little Ridge says, I saw that, but not sure he's had a major storm yet. I'll definitely be checking in with them. Thanks. Yeah, I can tell you this, that they live not too terribly far from me in southern Missouri, and they have had a major storm. I guarantee it. We get them. It's just the weather around here. So VIP Funny Farm says, I loved this meme that I have seen. Don't tell secrets in the garden. The potatoes have eyes, the corn have ears, and the beans talks. Yeah. Yeah, it is pretty funny. Verna says, night all, have a blessed one. Need to eat. Yep, you go ahead, Verna. Have a good night. We'll see you next week, hopefully. How are we doing on time? 4 minutes left. I got to get through some things. Jesse says, yes, my daughter, Loretta, she heard you say congrats and gave a big cheesy grin. LOL. Well, good job. It's always good to win. Tiffany says, does protein matter for Keturnix laying eggs? Maybe, not necessarily. I do like to feed a high protein. And for a long time, I really did believe that higher protein made a big difference in that. But there's plenty of people out there that are feeding lower protein and getting plenty of egg production out of them. I do feel they do a little bit better on high protein, not necessarily egg production, but just overall, I think they do a little bit better. But again, plenty of people raise them on lower lower protein and do just as well. So I don't think it makes a big difference. Tiffany says, to the parasites, sounds like God made dirt and dirt don't hurt. Yeah, pretty much. Blessed with Pets says, I have to pay for everything I do with animals, and I'm trying to make more cages to keep some does, but being 13, it's hard to afford. I need to make a 9-foot cage divided into 3 to match the other cage. It'll give me room for 2 more does. Yeah, I understand that. It is definitely hard to do that. You could, look for some odds and ends around the neighborhood to do for some extra money. It's wintertime right now. And when I was a kid, when I was your age, 13, man, if it snowed, that was a money day. We went out with shovels and shoveled everybody's driveways, and we could make $75, $80 in a day. Yvette says, what about rabbit tractors? Do you think that would be a good thing for growing out babies? I don't think it'd be a bad thing at all. I know Living Traditions used to use rabbit tractors. I think they went ahead and moved back to cages for the rabbits, but I'm not sure. It's been a while. I haven't been keeping up with their videos real good here lately, so I may be wrong about that. But yeah, it works. You can do it. Absolutely. Callie Quail Keeper says, good night, Chris. Thanks all. Good night to you. Thank you for joining. Checking the time again. I ran over late last week, and my poor wife was sitting there with dinner ready, and I wasn't ready to eat. Blessed with Pets says, what would you say the minimum cage size for a mini Rex is? It's currently 2 foot by 3 foot for each rabbit. For a mini Rex, boy, that's a hard one. I don't know exactly what. You could go fairly small with that. Probably 24-inch square, something like that would probably be about as low as I'd go. Jasmine says, have a wonderful night. All love the chat as usual. Chris, thanks for being and also part of the homestead community. Well, thank you guys all for joining. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you guys wanting to join in. Katrina says, thanks for all the great information, Chris, and the good conversation, everybody. You're absolutely welcome. Oh, Blessed with Pets says, I live in Shreveport, Louisiana, so I don't really get snow. Oh, yeah, that's tough. You're right. Shreveport, not known for snow, is it? What else could you do, though? You could find something. Go offer to mow some yards or, I don't know, walk dogs, whatever. You could find something. Somebody would be able to pay you for that stuff. Tiffany says, good night, Chris. Don't make your wife wait with dinner. I won't. I'll get off here pretty quick. Yeah, we got like 1 minute left. See if I can get through a few more of these. Tom says, Chris, how do you feel about oat grass for rabbits? I think it's fine. It's probably not good to be like their total, all the time diet, but you could definitely make that a big portion of their diet. I don't see anything wrong with it. All right. And Blessed with Pets says, what do you think a good price to sell wean mini Rex? Good question. I really don't know on that one. You're going to have to look. Check Craigslist, see what other people are selling them for in your area, and you can kind of base your price on that. I think probably around the $30 or $40 range, since they're fairly well-known pet rabbit breed. If they're good genetics, they should go for at least that. But all right, we're going to wrap this one up right here. Comments are kind of slowed down. Everybody's starting to get out of here. Anyway, thank you guys for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. Hopefully we'll be back next week. I don't see any reason why not at this point. And as long as nothing else comes up between now and then, we should be here at 7 o'clock next week. Thanks again for joining. Hopefully we'll see you there. Have a good evening. And as always, God bless.